So I'm Luke Ramey,
Curtis Looper.
and this is Be Good People. And actually, we talked about is there a comma in there?
Well, let's be specific about this.
Let's
sentence,
be specific.
this phrase.
So how is it? I'm taking your lead on this.
It's the be good, comma people. So we'll update our graphic. And,
We will, yeah,
and all that good stuff.
Be good,
Yeah,
comma people.
it's a request.
We're not. It's not be good people.
Yeah.
It's not the angry
Yeah.
dad.
Yeah,
Okay.
or like be good people. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. I'm with you. Okay. So it's be good people.
yeah. We would put a please on the end, but it's just like the 3 words. It's just
Yeah, that's better.
it's just nice,
Yeah,
nice and simple and sleek.
I like it. Honestly, the response was a little alarming.
Yeah.
Because I didn't expect any.
I didn't. Well, I mean, we said it. We're like, oh, the 2 people who are watching, and I hit the mic. But I mean, it was good, you know. And
Yeah.
we're up for all types
Yeah.
of discussion.
And I got responses. We got responses, obviously, where we shared it, and then on the YouTube page, which is probably the best place to respond.
I think so.
If you
yeah.
want to respond publicly. But I also got direct messages.
Yeah.
Text messages
Texts,
from friends,
yeah.
and so, and all that's great. And some people too. I got messages from people that said, "Hey, because I love it that you posted this and started this conversation in my family or in my friend group. I can't say these things,
Yeah.
but I can share you saying these things, and it's like a softer way."
Yeah, and that's. I mean, it's. We're not looking to like teach anything here. We're
No.
just. We've been having these conversations for a long time, and we see how hard it is to talk and to talk to people that you love and that you want to
Yeah.
break the ice, and we know that that's difficult.
Yeah.
So we hope to be maybe that icebreaker, maybe that model, like that you can show an example of, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Again, we're not. We realize our limitation
Yes.
on understanding deep things.
Yeah.
So we're not here to like tell you how to be.
Oh, no.
Very obvious to
Definitely
us
not.
that we are not in that position.
I would like to not be on the hook for that
Please.
responsibility.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, they're conversations.
Yeah.
And we've been having them. I remember we had the opportunity to travel the world. No, we traveled the U.S., really the Southeast.
Yeah.
In a van.
We got into the middle.
We got Midwest.
Yeah, a little bit.
We got up, but all the east side of the country.
Oh, yeah.
We went out west multiple times before and after you.
Right. Yeah.
We
I
did.
did not.
We did most of the cool things before and after
I think
you.
as west as I got was like West Memphis. But it's got
gosh.
West in the name.
I
so,
remember that.
Yeah. Old Arkansas.
Oh,
Shout
gosh.
out.
Yeah, there it is. But yeah, no. But we used to have conversations in the van. That's what I remember a lot of times because I'm, as we played in a band, but I'm not that much in music.
No, not.
And so anytime we could have a conversation in the van while I was driving,
Yeah.
I was more on top of that, and
Yeah.
I was interested in that. And we did have conversations. And the interesting thing, when we were touring, it was me, you, and Corey, and then sometimes. We'd have different people with us.
Yeah.
I know Bettis, Andrew Bettis,
Andrew
was there.
I mean, that's when I think back
That's-
on it. It was like us four.
Yeah,
for the
exactly.
longest time.
Exactly. And all 4 of us kind of from different backgrounds,
Yeah.
different thought processes, we talked a lot about faith. We talked a lot about how we should be living as people.
Yeah.
But
Or
we all had,
partners or
Yeah.
fill in the blank. You know,
Yeah.
we're just trying to figure it out together.
and it was different context.
Yeah, exactly.
And we grew from each other. I felt. And so that's what we're talking about today. Is we're talking about conversations.
Yeah.
And we're talking about kind of what we're doing here. We're really just recording them now.
Yeah.
We've always had them.
We still have them, you know. It's weird to like. We just talked about this, like 2 days ago. Okay, let's.
Let's
At
sit
my
in front of
work.
microphones now. Yeah, but it is. But conversations. One of the things about conversations that I took note of is that it requires listening and speaking.
Yeah,
You know?
I think when I shared, my post to, my whatever you want to call it, sphere of influence, was we're entering into each conversation with the best expectations of each other. I genuinely have expectations that you are wanting to listen to me and that you want the best from me. And I follow that up in my own way with what you have to say.
Yeah.
And I think that in essence is, and we'll unpack that a little bit, but that's how we have good conversations. That's how we learn. That's how someone on my side of the view and your side of the view can talk to each other without getting our feelings hurt over you stepping on my right to my opinion, or the beliefs I've held for 15 years or 6 or however long.
Yeah.
And you're not disrespecting that. You're disagreeing with it. You're pushing back on it.
Yes.
But we're not disrespecting each other.
Yeah, and we do disagree on things.
And sometimes we do disrespect each other.
Sometimes we do. And there's normally a nice laugh after.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely do disagree on things. But I'll tell you what, I've learned a lot in my discussions with you.
Yeah, same.
And I think that's because I've let myself trust you. Like, I don't think you're not looking to put ill will towards me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think going into a conversation with somebody about any topic, if you go into it with your defenses up, you're not going into it saying, "Hey, I can learn here. I can benefit from this." You're going into it saying, "I'm going to have to tell them the way it is."
Yeah, exactly.
That's not going to be beneficial.
This guy's
anyone.
confused. This girl's confused. She's totally in a bad place. I've got to pull him or her out of it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just I was thinking on this a little bit because we had talked about it a little bit before, and if we go into each conversations with like presuppositions, that's it's like a boundary that we set up, and we're safe in these boundaries, like our assumptions of someone, and we know what they're going to think. But if we go up to the edge there and step over it, we're vulnerable because I don't know what to hit back with. Like if he says this, I'm going to say this, or if she says this, I'm going to say this. I'm going to walk out and be almost naked in my defense, and it's a dangerous place to be for your emotional state. For anytime you walk out of the boundaries of what you know, you're putting yourself at risk. You're putting yourself in a vulnerable position. Yeah. And in our conversations, that's kind of what me and you're agreeing on is when we're vulnerable, we're open to grow and learn.
And in most places in life, we try to not be vulnerable.
Yeah, exactly.
In my financial life,
it doesn't make
I
sense
want to be
vulnerable.
not vulnerable.
Yeah.
In my work life, I want to be not vulnerable.
Yeah.
I want to succeed. I want to show success.
Well, there's a reason we put boundaries and fences up. Like it's just logical.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. But in our relationships, it does not make sense.
It does not make
sense.
And
we don't need to let that translate to that. We've got to have a space for each type of thinking. Yeah. And for relationships, it's just let's copy and paste here. But clearly it's not working.
That's not working.
Yeah.
That's not working. And you said presuppositions. And I think that's a big thing is that we walk into conversations a lot of times with that I've got a program and that when he says this or mentions this term, I'm immediately going to recall.
Well, we all have those shower conversations, you know, like, oh man,
that's a great.
I feel so good after this morning conversation with myself and this other person that exists in the real world but did not exist there.
Yeah.
You know?
How many times have you hyped yourself up for that conversation at work and you get there and you're like,
just fall
you
flat.
are not responding the way you did in my mind?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. I mean, we all do that, and it's just a good defense. Yeah. You know, it's why, well, you know, I'm going to lock this deadbolt because if someone comes in, they're going to try to come in through the front door. That's the easiest way to come in. Well, it's locked. So that's, you know, it's a deterrent. Yeah. And so these defenses that we build up, we're just trying to deter hurt from ourselves. Yeah. It's an easy thing to do.
But in relationship and in conversation, when you put those defenses up, you might block hurt.
Oh, yeah.
But you're going to be blocking the ability to learn and progress. Yeah. And I think we need that.
Yeah, our boundaries have to overlap with each other if we're going to share relationships.
And honestly, it can be hurtful. Yeah. It can hurt you to put up boundaries like that in relationships. You can cause more damage by being less vulnerable. Yeah. I feel like that worked right.
I think so.
Right equation. Yeah, you can if you are less vulnerable. If you put up those defenses, you can create more hurt in your life. And you know, I was reading "Talking to Strangers" by Malcolm Gladwell.
It's on my next.
I know you got to put it on your list. You're gonna. I feel like you're gonna like live text it to me when you do it because you'll be like, oh my gosh,
what about this part? Yeah. Okay.
Luke,
I'm really excited.
You totally said this all the time. You clearly stole this from Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how it's going to go. But he talks about kind of the overall arching. I mean, if you know Gladwell, he kind of everything ties together from beginning to end. And so he starts off with the story of, a traffic stop of a white police officer, African American, behind the wheel, and talks about how that is destined for failure because both of the parties are coming in with presuppositions. So you've got a white police officer coming in that's been trained. Do not default to truth. Assume they are lying and keep asking questions until you find something. That's how modern policing is trained. And not necessarily that's not coming out of a bad space. They're saying, hey, we can find more wrong. We can do a better job policing if we do this. But regardless, that's what they come up with. And then you have an African American that's grown up in a household that's been told, do not trust the police. You can't trust them. They're trying to hurt you. And when you bring those two forces together, that's not going to lead to a good conversation. No. There's no vulnerability in that.
Yeah, and let's be real. It's not the most it's not the wisest thing to be vulnerable for some of these situations. It's like the same reason we're talking about, how we come to these conclusions is because we've grown up putting up fences, putting up boundaries. And sometimes it makes sense, but in other times like you said, it's destined to fail.
Destined to fail.
And it's hard to come up with, this isn't working, but it's the best thing we have.
Yeah.
So how do we take that next step to where we realize that, okay, it's the best we have, but it's still not working.
It's not working.
So let's try to figure out something else.
And who takes that first step? And I think we see this in the political realm. You see Democrats, Republicans, or better liberal conservatives. I don't even like the Democrat Republican titles anymore in this debate. But you have a more liberal socialist view versus a more capitalist conservative view. And you see right there, who's going to take the first step?
Well, we all, with our assumptions, everyone believes if they would lay their weapons down, if they'd let their guard down, then I'd lay mine down. We're all in this standoff, and at some point, we've got to be the first person to do that. And that might mean that we got walked over, but, us coming from Christians, as Christians, that's what Jesus did. He laid his weapons down, he got bulldozed, and he modeled what that would look like for us.
Would you like me to lay out the, I'm okay with universal health care. I want to listen to you on
I don't know,
my weapons. You know what I mean?
Well, no, I mean, I just let's just not assume the worst.
We'll talk about healthcare in a future podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, we are destined to, I'm sure.
We'll talk about everything.
Yeah.
We honestly haven't had that conversations enough times to where we. Yeah. I don't think either. And let's be honest, we don't know what we're talking about. We're just goofing off.
Just opinions. Do you watch cable news?
No, not.
I don't either.
Hardly ever.
And I think
a lot of people think that I do. I do not.
I don't either. And I feel like that's we'll be having conversations and people will be like, yeah, they probably heard that from. We don't. I have no idea.
I tend to if I do watch something, I'll be angry or fearful of something.
There's a virus. Did you know about this?
No.
There's a virus right now.
Yeah, I know about it. Yeah.
You jerk.
The only thing
I get all my information late.
Yeah. Oh, me too. There was this one website that was sharing this stat that came out, and it was saying that 40% of people will not buy Corona because of the virus. I'm like,
not caused by the beer.
What? I've made that joke, and assuming everyone didn't think that. I'm like, did you hear about that Modelo virus? Or you get a good laugh, but I think I might have infected people's brains with ideally. I think it came from the Corona.
It came from it's drinking Corona on cruise ships.
Yeah,
is how you get coronavirus. That's the only way.
Yeah.
So as long as you
Corona,
please don't. Not a sponsor, clearly. But yeah, conversations, and I think.
Well, let's go back to what you're saying. Yeah, it's a heavy. I mean, we kind of got distracted there a little bit because it's such a heavy thing to talk about.
It is.
With the your book you're talking about.
Oh yeah, Talking to Strangers by Gladwell.
The scenario he's painting, it's such a contentious issue there. And it's if you see those movies where people are just coming together and pushing, and it's like the reverse of a tug of war. We're just trying to push sides, but both sides have a thing that thinking the other person is assuming about them, and they're assuming that about the person, and we're not talking with each other.
Well, and I think the key...
We're just coming to battle each other.
Exactly. And I think the key is, so I grew up in right outside Minneapolis in a town called Farmington, Minnesota. It's not small now. It's like 4 times the size.
Last time I was there,
it's pretty good size.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a real city now.
Yeah.
But when I was there, we were smaller and stuff. We weren't very diverse. I mean, we were all white, middle class-ish, kids. And that's the demographic I came out to. And then I moved to Fentress County,
big,
Tennessee.
Culture shock.
So that would be
you
a
were
rural,
used to.
very rural. It has actually only gotten smaller, I believe.
Say, note my sarcasm there.
But it's a small town, white, lower class.
Yeah,
probably,
lower middle.
Yeah. Class. So, but that's what I've grown up in. Now I live in Cookeville. And again, I mean, mostly white middle class. It's not, we're not super diverse.
No.
We have some diversity,
I think
for sure.
So. Yeah, and that's growing.
Yeah, it's growing, but we don't have a lot of diversity, like, crossing.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, we have diversity that's, like,
of course, we got, like, the university, and that's where you see
huge.
that. But in the larger, like, that is like an ebb and flow of diversity. You see it in the fall, in the spring, and then in the summer, it's like,
back to what it was.
Yeah.
Back to small town America.
Yeah.
But I think I bring all that up to say I don't know what it's like to be an African American behind the wheel of a car.
I've got the eyes that I was given, and I've grown up behind, and there are other stories that we're hoping to hear.
Yeah.
But we just don't know.
We don't know. And so when I enter into that conversation, I'm leery to enter into it because I know my ignorance.
Exactly.
And so that could cause me to not enter it, but it shouldn't.
Exactly.
And but I need to go in seeking to learn,
exactly.
not seeking to teach.
I'm not exact. That's exactly what I was just about to say is I want to have that conversation, but I don't want anyone to think that I'm here to tell you how we should do it.
Yeah.
Or to assume which side is right and which side is wrong. I don't know. Like I just why are we screaming at each other rather than just talking to each other?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're all in this, country together. We've got to figure out how to do this better. Or I don't know. I really don't know.
But those are the conversations, though. It's that one which has been in headlines. But we've got, like I mentioned, the healthcare debate. What is better? All this private insurance that we have, is it universal health care? Is it somewhere in the middle? Like,
each side is coming to it and saying that the other is completely wrong.
Completely wrong. And that's not, I mean, come on.
The tension wouldn't be there if both sides were completely wrong. Yeah. Or it wouldn't be there's always going to be a few people being very loud about a subject.
Yeah.
But as big as the conversation is now, like clearly.
Yeah.
Both sides have a point.
And I went from being, again, white middle class dude,
right,
from having insurance that was affordable and took care of everything. I never paid a dime for anything. I've gone from that over the last few years to being still the same demographic, obviously. But now all of a sudden I'm using like a healthcare sharing. I'm paying cash for all my stuff. I'm cash paying everything. My perspective in the last 2 years has changed a lot. And that's a conversation I want to get into.
It's one of those things where should we be empathetic only when we're in the situation where we want people to help us, or should, like, as Ben coming from Christian backgrounds, again, should we model that that lesson from Jesus of do unto others as you want it have done unto you? Should I see myself in people suffering, or should I say to them, well, you should have made better choices?
Yeah. Well,
let's talk about the Good Samaritan.
And, And, obviously our Christian roots always show through. But, like, in Matthew, it talks about, I think, famous. And back when we were traveling in the van, man, I loved, because I think I was wrestling with it. But the idea of Jesus is talking about the sheep and the goats, and people coming to him and saying, when did I ever see you in need? When did I ever see you hurting? When did I ever see you hungry? When did I ever see you naked and clothe you? When did I ever see that? And when you see them, let me just let you know when that is, because that's when we have racial friction that's when it's there.
Yeah.
That's when we have healthcare trouble where people cannot get the healthcare they need. That's when it's there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, just time and time again, I think all of these conversations that you're leery to ever venture into, if you're scared to get into the conversation, if you're scared to be vulnerable in a conversation about it, that's probably one of the times that you saw Jesus in need and didn't step up.
Yeah.
And I don't, and I feel like that may have really thrown up some red flags.
Yeah.
We were doing so good at being safe in this one.
Yeah. Again, we're trying to be as inclusive as we can, but I mean, our faith is always going to bleed through into this. And when I hear you talking about that, I walked my dog before I came here. And every time we walk, there's a dog. There's 2 or 3 dogs behind like fences, and they're just barking on the other side.
Yeah.
And when we're talking, like, I hope I'm not that dog barking. Like, I'm safe behind my fence, but I'm going to bark at you. And I'm like, if you came over here, you'd realize we're just, we're just doing our thing. You're assuming that we're about to break into your house and mess up your place, but we're just
not.
We're just traveling,
just
man.
Chilling. Yeah.
But I hope that I'm never that person that I see something that I think is a danger and just start shouting at it.
Yeah.
But we all are going to do that.
Yeah.
I think it's up to us to just start questioning that in us ourselves. If we're raging about something, and we haven't put ourselves in a vulnerable state and had a conversation with the people that we're barking at, screaming at, angry at, thinking they are completely wrong. These guys are so misguided. This group of people, groups of people they're made up of people who are thinking, and people who are trying to do the best they can with what they have, and the experiences that have led them to there should be heard by us. I'm not saying that they're right. I'm not saying that both sides are always right. They have a good point, but both sides are made up of people that deserve to be heard and deserve to have their ideas pushed back on, or to share those boundaries with them.
Just as valid perspective as I do.
Exactly.
Although different.
I'm not going to assume that you're, dumb because we disagree, or that you're so misguided, or that you just don't see it how it is. That's me saying, I see how it is. I truly know how the world is. And none of us know that. If you enter into each conversation saying, I don't truly know the right answer here, we can learn from each other in any conversation.
And I grew up with a dad that he always encouraged me to listen. And he always told me, if you can keep your mouth shut long enough and listen long enough, you'll probably figure out the right answer. You'll probably figure out how to proceed. Yeah. And it's actually helped me, in my life is pretty full of sales type jobs.
Yeah.
So I'm a salesman by trade, but it all comes back to my ability to listen. I mean, that's really what it is.
I have a small sales job.
I have a predisposition to listen and assume that I can learn. Not everybody has that.
Right.
And I admit that I'm weird in that, but that's my predisposition.
Yeah.
So when I'm faced with something that I don't know, my immediate response is, what can I learn from this person to help me be more informed?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly.
And that's actually, I think I'm lucky that that's my predisposition.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not everybody.
If that's your field that you're in, I mean, I had a small sales job in college, and that was at the heart of the training. It was just, hey, give this person room to talk to you, and then you'll know what to sell to them. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to be as looking to get something out of that.
Absolutely.
But and I'm not saying that's bad in the field that it's useful, but I think the main point to come from, or not even point, because again, I'm not trying to teach anything. What I try to do is be curious when I'm going into a conversation. I want to know what you, and I've got to check myself and let that curiosity and that want for a deeper relationship mean more in that conversation than the my right to my own opinion, or my value of my own opinion. I don't want to go into it to try to have a battle with you. Yeah. Because if I do, nothing productive is going to come from it. We're both going to leave hurt and angry. And if we come in with that curiosity,
Yeah.
Like you just said, we're going to speak and we're going to feel heard and we're going to feel value.
Yeah.
And both sides are going to do that.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's huge in conversation. And really, I mean, that's what conversation is. Like we're talking about what conversation should be.
Yeah.
But really, that's what conversation is. You're either not in a conversation or you are.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so I think, again, we're not looking to teach or anything.
I can't say that enough.
But yeah, for sure. But I'd say the takeaway from this, from what our relationship has been, is like, let yourself be in a conversation and let yourself learn from the other person.
Well, let's just spell it out there. I mean, we keep saying we're not trying to teach. We're trying to have a conversation. That's how a conversation should go.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to teach you anything.
Yeah.
Just one-on-one. I'm like us to you watching. We're not trying to teach you anything.
No.
But me to you, I'm not trying to teach you anything.
Yeah.
I'm not your teacher.
Yeah.
We enter into a conversation as equals.
Yeah.
Having
Absolutely. Believing
that each other are capable of valuable thoughts, and I want to understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I love that. And see, but that disarms me.
Yeah.
That disarms me to say, okay, well, I can probably share my real feelings.
And it's easy for us, having known each other for 10 years.
That's true.
To lay my weapon down when I meet you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's much harder for me to do that when I'm assuming the worst.
Oh, yeah.
Of someone.
When you're assuming the worst.
Because
traffic stop.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm scared to death of police.
Yeah.
I feel like I cannot.
I know multiple.
Yeah.
But still, like, I get stopped. I'm like, oh gosh, I freeze up. What did I do?
Yeah.
And probably I did do something.
Yeah. There's probably something. Real. Let's hope they don't uncover it.
Yeah.
Like I rolled that stop sign, but surely you didn't see it.
Yeah. With the phone laws, I had a buddy text me saying, I just checked my phone at a stoplight and got a ticket. I'm like, oh, you should have followed the law. But it's hard to adapt.
I hate that law. I've been holding my phone to my ear talking for
did you see
successfully for like 20 years.
Yeah. There's another country where it has been a law for a long time, and I saw one dude, and he made phone cookies, and so he was holding that to his ear, and he got stopped by a cop, and he was like, why'd you pull me over? And it's translated, and she's like, because you're on your phone. And he goes, oh, okay. And he takes a bite out of it, and she's just like, what is... Her world just shatters. And I thought, okay, that's funny.
In fairness, it's more dangerous for me to be eating my cheeseburger while I drive, which happens.
I have more dangerous drives.
Talking on my phone.
Yeah, and I'm not here to press against the law or anything.
This is not at all what we plan on talking about.
But I've had, this is the bonus section. Yeah. I've had more dangerous drives where I'm like, having an argument with someone in my head than I was talking to someone on the phone. It's how did I get here?
Somebody was like, yeah, well, it's not a cell phone law. It's a distracted driving law. I was like, oh, trust me. I can distract myself. Like, I do not need any devices.
I've spilled way too many bean burritos on my lap driving than I've ever texted and drove. But again, we're looking for the best options.
So conversations. We encourage people, again, not teaching. We encourage people to enter into conversations, not debates, not ridicule matches.
To step back and have perspective.
Yes.
You were talking about that other, I don't know how this connects, but I mean, it was something we had talked about when we were talking about this, is there was an old, I think it was World War II, and I had heard some guy on YouTube talking about this the other day. Yeah. He was saying that they had sent these airplanes out to just do research. When they were bringing them back, they were looking at where the bullet holes were so that they could reinforce the airplanes. And there was a third-party guy, and I don't know if he was over it. I can't remember the details, but he was coming in with a clear perspective and just ready to, not assuming anything, just looking at it. And these guys were starting to outfit like extra armor on these places where the bullet holes were. And he said, "What? You don't need to put the plating there." And he was like, "What are you talking about? This is where it's getting shot." And he's like, "What about the planes didn't come back? Like, they obviously got shot in these where these places that there are no bullet holes, like those are where you probably want to reinforce. A plane can clearly come back if it's got bullet holes here, the guy came back safely. We've got this plane. What about the 6 other ones that didn't come back?
That didn't come back.
And they're like, oh, we didn't even think of that. We were just looking for what we wanted to look for.
We didn't think of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we need these healthy conversations and vulnerable attitudes, is because we didn't think about that.
Exactly.
And we need that other perspective.
We need to know where we are, what we are looking at well, I mean, I'm just saying the same thing. What we're missing. I mean, that's
what we're missing.
But the biggest thing we're missing right now is that we're missing it. You know, it's kind of a little too meta, but it's like that's what we got to focus on right now. Is we've all got to step back and realize that it's a person on the other side of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not an idea. Mm-hmm. It's not a movement or a law or whatever you want to call it, or an ism.
Yeah.
Whatever ism you want to throw at it. These are people, you know. They're coming from, and I believe that there can be like completely, you know, people with terrible intentions. Yeah. But there are quite fewer of those than we are being led to believe, or that we're assuming.
Our defenses are too high.
Yeah.
You will not be ravaged if you lower your defenses.
No.
Right now.
I mean,
in our culture, you will not.
It's not the enemy at the gates. Like we're assuming that. I don't know if we're being told that, or if we're just we've had the defenses up so long that we're just, if you let it down, it's gonna be terrible, man. If you take one step or let them take one step, then you're gonna lose the whole ground, and that's.
And I think we're going to end up in future episodes talking more about this when we tackle those. And again, coming from our Christian perspective and where we live, Cookeville, Tennessee, you know,
Let's
I mean,
be real.
like the conversations we're going to run into. I think we'll run into that healthcare conversation because I'm not going to let you not talk about it with me. But we're going to run into, you know, the church and LGBTQ. You know, like we're going to run into those
everything that's contentious and that is.
We're going to run into church and single moms. We're going to run into church. You know, like we'll probably run into those conversations and talk about them. And I think conversation will always come up as like this all begins with lowering your defenses and having a real conversation.
And again, we're not doing research before we come here.
We're not.
And trying to prove a point.
No, not at all.
We're just talking like two guys who have their own perspectives, and we talk about we're coming from different sides, but we've got a lot more in common.
We've got
you know what I mean? Like we're of the same you know, color and religion for the most part. We're a little on the other side of that, but like let's be real. Our conversations are not as deep as the potential for conversations to be.
Our differences will lie in, you know, some political areas and some social areas.
Very like day-to-day stuff.
Very day-to-day stuff.
Big philosophical differences.
Yeah, that's right. Well, cool. Well, this seems like a good spot to end.
I think we hit the end of the row.
You think so?
Yeah.
This is the end of that conversation.
It's cool. Good enough of a spot. I feel good about it.
Well, now, because you guys responded so well, please continue to respond. And, you know, obviously you can go to our Podbean site. That's out there, but we're on iTunes now, Spotify, we're at Google Play Store, we're all those places where you can listen to us. Probably the best place to join the conversation if you want to comment and us comment back and us to talk a little bit is YouTube, though.
Yeah, and it's very visible. And again, like, you know, if it's good or bad, we're here to have difficult conversations too. We're here to be called out. We're here to be, you know, whatever. Because again, we might be missing something.
We might be.
But the things that we're talking about aren't necessarily supposed to be specific. Hey, let's find the answer to this. It's just the act of discussion. And so we're open to that, whatever it looks like. Wherever it looks like. But again, YouTube, we've got an Instagram now too.
We do. Yeah. What, is it Be Good People Show?
Yeah, Be Good People Show.
Be Good People Show over on Instagram. So hit us up there too. You can direct message us. You can comment. You know, direct message if you don't want to put your name out there, that's fine.
Yeah, we get that. I mean,
we get that, but we still want to have the conversation that Curtis and I have. We both want to have that with you as well.
And it's clear that there people are hungry from that. You know?
Absolutely.
Whether it's public or private, like, I don't think the act of having a conversation should be scandalous, nor do I think it is. But it's clearly. I mean, I think I texted you the night after you posted. It was like, wow, this went really well.
This one,
you know, for a good or worse. Like the point was to have engagement, and it's clearly,
and we did get
that was our hope from this. And it's getting there.
So. And we tell you, I follow a bunch of YouTubers. Yeah. And they always say, right now, the lingo's changed. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but it's changed to subscribe and hit the bell. Because the bell makes it to where you get all the notifications. And we're not posting like crazy. So we would encourage you to hit the bell, but this is not because we want our YouTube numbers to go. We have no anticipation of us caring anything about
Yeah.
monetization on YouTube.
Yeah, we're just here to
But
talk.
so that you know when we're talking about stuff and it gives you an opportunity to jump in, go ahead and subscribe to it. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Cool. Well, we'll see you guys next time.
yep. Adios.
Thanks.